And here we go. For whatever reason, we didn't get the audio very well off of this third day. We got it the first and second day. So the third day, I'm just kind of doing more of the same. What I am doing here is seeing if she'll let me just kind of slip up here, put some pressure on her, and put a rope on her. And she kind of did. I got it on a foot there. It scared her a little bit. Not the end of the world. I just let it be not the end of the world. Let things be quiet. I'll say again, this is in post-production here. This has been a couple of months ago that I did this. Nowadays, you still got to corner her up, but you can just get her in a corner with a halter and catch her. She leads around, the kids lead her around. So the reason I kind of tried to just slip it on her is I wanted to keep this pressure low from roping her, but wasn't going to happen. She's a little too, that's how she got the moniker Speedy Gonzalez, I think. She's a little too speedy around there, so that's all right. I'm gonna rope her. That increases the pressure, puts it into a higher pressure situation, me swinging the rope and throwing it at her. But shoot, they've got to deal with pressure at some point. When they're little, I want to keep it as low as I can, but if I've got to put some pressure on them, then that's just part of life. Yet again, she turned out to be a little bit hard-headed in a way. I originally had kind of some misgivings about weaning her quite as early as we did. You know, that reset mare that raised her was kind of a knothead, but wasn't all that bad. And 3 months is pretty darn young, but then once I started getting my hands on her and working with her like this, I've discovered we weren't all that far off. She kind of needed a little bit of handling, a little bit of learning, because she just had a lot of fight in her. What we'll do here in the next day or two is now that she's been weaned and halter broke a couple months, I'll do a video just catching her, giving her a bucket of grain. And see, she's just willing to go ahead and make a big deal out of this. And that's really what we saw in that reset mare more than anything, was that mare was darn sure willing to make a big deal out of things if you'd let it be. And this filly's kind of that way too. I'm just easing around, being quiet. She says, I'll darn sure get wild if I have to. So she's giving to that rope, which is good. A lot of people get upset about how she's giving to it. I don't care how she gives to it. I just like that she gives to it, and I can stop her. That's all that's important to me. Asking them to actually get caught, handled, and led in 3 days, that's a lot. I'm happy if I can just kind of handle, just sort of direct them around. I remember one time, this has been a long, long time ago, Flint Lee and I halter broke a whole bunch of colts. And of course they were closer to 7, 8 months old. But I think I was 19 and he was 20. So neither of us knew what the hell we were doing. And we put them in a buck and shoot and put halters on them with big long lead ropes, and then each one of us would have a colt with a big long lead rope, and somebody would open the gate of the buck and shoot. Basically, those little guys would just drag us around until of course, I weighed 135 pounds, and Flint maybe weighed 145 pounds. So it took a while, but those colts would just drag us around until they were tired of dragging us, and then we'd kind of gee-haw and wool them and halfway get them pulled around somewhere, and then we'd lead them to water, couple of times a day, and shoot, it was 2 weeks of that, and they still weren't any good. And it's partially because they were kind of knot-headed colts, but partially because we didn't know what the hell we were doing, and we were trying to get a whole bunch done, trying to really get them halter broke. So fast forward 20-some years, and this is how I halter break them now, where I don't care if they lead around. I don't really care if I get them caught, get a halter on them, get them tied up. I don't care about much. What I care about is that they kind of give to that rope, and things don't get fast and hot and sweaty. Things just stay as quiet as I can keep them. And with my halter breaking, I usually have done what I feel like I need done in about 3 applications. But that's not a hard and fast rule. If it takes 7 or 5 or whatever, it doesn't matter to me. I just take the time it needs now, instead of like we did back in the old days, just by God, get them halter broke, tied to a post, and start leading them to water. They'll learn. And they do, but it's not a great way of doing it. And so here she's just figuring out that she doesn't have to stand for the pressure of me touching her. If she wants, she can leave, but she can't leave very far. And when she wants to leave, it's tough on her. She says, well, what if I just walk over the top of you? Push into that pressure a little bit. See how that works for you. At this point, it's going to work pretty good because I'm going to let her get away with it. She says, well, I tried to push into the pressure and you pushed me away, so I don't want to do that anymore. What I'm trying to do here is put a half hitch in my rope, half hitches around her muzzle, kind of have a little rope halter on her. This rope's got an awful bad kink in it, so it's giving me a hard time. But that's okay. As many times as it fails, that's as many more times as I got to reach my hand up there. See, that time it spooked her when I reached my hand up there. That's as many more times as I got to pull her around and stop her with that rope. It's as many more times as she gets it around her foot, learns that that's not a big deal. All of these things, they're the things that if you're in a hurry and you get frustrated, it seems like everything's going wrong, then you start going fast, and then you start getting in wrecks, and then you start having horses learn bad things. If you're not in a hurry, see right there, everything was just right. She moved her nose in such a way, and the angle of her height and my height just didn't work out there. Let that frustrate me, I could really cause some problems, but as it is, I look at it as a positive thing. It just gives me one more chance to do this all again. There, I got it that time. And so with any of those things, if it's not working, as much as people have a tendency to want to get frustrated over something like that, if you can convince yourself that, hey, that just gives me an opportunity to do it again and better, and maybe give that horse an even better understanding of how this works. Let them have another minute to think about it, another minute to figure it out. That's how I look at it. And the same with roping these babies. I've heard a lot of people say, well, I don't rope very good. Well, that's all right. The more times you miss, it's just the more you get them sacked out. So she's a funny little thing. She's been that way all along, and still kind of that way. Once you got her caught and got your hands on her, she likes getting petted on. She likes being part of the deal, but she's got that residual in her from that goofy reset mare that wants to get away from people and wants to fight. So that's kind of the nurture versus nature thing. Her nature says folks are a good thing. She wants to be loved on and wants to give to pressure and stuff. That's her nature. But the nurturing part of it from that reset mare says we move away from people. And that's why I only bothered her getting halter broke enough that I can catch her and get a halter on her and lead her around if I have to. For instance, if she gets sick or gets a cut and I have to doctor her or something like that, I just need her halter broke enough that I can handle her without hurting her worse. All that nurture stuff about getting caught and being around folks, I'm going to let all these other broke horses teach her that. You know, when I say broke, a lot of them are 2-year-olds and yearlings. But the 2-year-olds learn from my older horses, and the yearlings have learned from the 2-year-olds and my older horses. And she'll learn from all of them to just, everything's okay, and be quiet and calm, and Brett's not a bad guy. Because all the rest of that bunch, you can walk out and catch in the pasture anytime you want. And they all started like her, where they just didn't know any better. And so that's really my plan, is just get them to where I can handle them if I need to, and then let those horses teach them something. And that sure works a lot better than me trying to handle them every day and make them super gentle and make them try to be my friend. And I know not everybody's got 25 head of gentle horses standing in a corral, but most people have probably got one other broke horse standing around. And like I say, the more time these babies can spend with an older horse that knows the ropes, the easier it makes everything. Got a couple of lead steps. That's all I really need. A couple of steps. Flies are getting her. And you see how I never really try to pull her and just like drag her forward. And you see a lot of people doing that. I go from side to side. It's a lot easier to step out of their tracks sideways doing this, because the whole process of walking forward on a lead rope there is they've got to give to that pressure on the back of their head. Well, naturally they want to push against that pressure on the back of their head. So it's pretty tough for them. If they're pushing on the pressure on the back of their head, it's pretty tough for them to take a step forward. What you see a lot of people do is then just try to muscle them and just pull them forward, drag them forward, and then release. Well, they don't really get the release out of that, because it wasn't that they were unwilling to go forward as much as they were bracing against the back of their head. And so if you manually drag them forward and drag them out of their tracks, sure, you got to step forward, but you never did get them to quit bracing their head. So giving them that release didn't do them any good, didn't teach them anything. That's why you have all these horses that don't lead worth a damn. But by going off to the side like I did there, just kind of pulling her off balance, going off the side, well, she's more likely to give to that pressure on the back of her head. And then the fact that her feet moving is totally incidental. Whether she takes a step forward or sideways or backwards doesn't make any difference to me. It's the fact that she gave the pressure from that halter, the pressure on the back of her head, and then I release. And that's where they learn to lead. A lot of them learn to follow, but never learn to lead. I try to teach them to lead. And so that's the other thing over here when I get over on my post. It's kind of the same idea. I'm sacking her out a little bit with my rope just for something to do, but any pressure from that rope is going to come sideways on her head, and she's going to give to that a heck of a lot easier and a heck of a lot better than a straight back pull on the back of her head, on the back of her pole there. That sideways pressure she's going to give to a lot easier. So I just want her to give pressure. I don't give a damn if she leads. You know, if it really comes down to it, I can always get somebody to get behind her, bush her around a little bit. You know, if I really have to get her somewhere. I've already proven to her I can kind of direct her motion and stop her with that rope. So I don't worry too much about that. And that's why I'm not all that worried about her leading. If you notice, I adjusted that rope around that pole to where when she moves forward, she actually gets slack out of it. She actually can get farther away. I did that on purpose because at this point, it's pretty easy to just snub them to that post if you have the rope dally the other direction. And then they just kind of learn to give to that post, which is fine. But at this point, I'd like her to take some steps forward. She says, I'll take some steps forward. Run around that post to get tangled up. There we go. And even there, I pulled to the side, didn't pull directly on the back of her head. I won't say that I never ever pull directly on the back of their head or straight forward, but I sure try not to for a long time. She says, I want to go out that gate. There, I'm having a little trouble there. Didn't quite get that forward motion, so I just asked for it to one side. I opened that gate. That gray yearling was standing right there at that gate, and that gray yearling's really, really, really gentle to the point where she's absolutely annoying. She's always in the way. But I went ahead and let her in there, so that way old Speedy will have some comfort, somebody to turn her loose with once I get all done here. I'm going to just kind of lead her around a few more steps. Gray kind of getting in my way a little bit. But the reason I do that is because I want to let these out the other gate, out the other direction. I had some other colts I wanted to put in this round pen and work. And I don't dare turn that Speedy in that little water trap with the whole bunch. It's too little. By this time she's been living with them, but that's too small of a space for her to be in there with everybody else. Somebody might just pin their ears and nip at her because she's a baby and tell her to get out of the way, and that'll cause her to bounce in the way into somebody else. And so I want to kick her out this backside here where there's more room, but I'm darn sure not going to kick her out there all by herself because then she'll get silly. So I just brought in a partner for her. Happened to be that gray filly was standing there handy. Got a couple, 3 or 4, 5 pretty good steps forward. A few steps sideways. That's really all I need out of one. I call that halter broke. She says, yeah, I'm broke to follow. You see what I was talking about there? So it's real easy to get them broke to follow. It's a little tougher to get them broke to lead. She says, I do like a good scratching from time to time. So what I did there actually is I was walking along with my hand on her alongside her. I could tell I was going to lose connection with her. So I just turned around and walked off before I dropped her before she had a chance to drop me, kind of a deal. Let's get a whole bunch of these yearlings out of the road. Maybe that was my plan. And that way Speedy can go out the other gate, can get out of the way. Got some more of those yearlings that I didn't want to have in there out of my way. All kind of works out. But again, I'll just go back to what I was saying there about the halter breaking. That's all the more halter broke I need one to be for now. Other people in other circumstances, you may need them more halter broke than that. And I can understand certain scenarios where that may be the case. But for me, that's all the more halter broke I need them for a while. Like I said, if I know I can catch her and manipulate her movement if I need to, and if I've got to get somebody else to get behind her and bush her around, that's fine. But hanging out with these older horses, a couple of months, she'll be just as halter broke as can be.
I want to thank the subscribers of our Patreon channel. The patrons, that's Patron where I'm from, give us the opportunity to bring these videos to you all. Without them, this channel wouldn't be possible. Join us over on Patreon for more in-depth lessons and step-by-step instruction on everything from gear to theory, riding everything from colts to bridle horses, the circus pole, and husbandry. We'd love to see you all over there.